wondering, like, what the steps or procedures are if someone that is a registered offender, what steps are taken, like, if they're gonna try to receive permission to live with a woman and there's a minor child there.
If they're living with a child, whether it's their child or somebody else's child, then they'll get reported to protection and are investigated for threat and sexual abuse of the minor. So those get assigned to a social worker and to law enforcement to determine risk to the minor that the offender's living with. We don't do those ahead of time, so if someone's thinking about moving in with a minor, we don't assign those ahead of time. It would have to be currently living with a minor, whether their child or somebody else's.
Okay, I mean, like if they're on probation and then the probation officer has to notify them to do the mandate report, I mean, I was just wondering, like, what the process or procedure is on it. Like, if it's not the person's child, like if the mother has a kid, you know, obviously the father is someone else. What the steps or procedures are on that, like the parents to the child, like they have joint legal custody on it. How do they go about all that?
So if the child's living between households, it would still be something that we would assign if the offender is living in the household with the minor, full or part-time. So a lot of times those reports that come from the police, or they'll come from the person themselves, they come from a community member or from corrections. So even if corrections gave your permission to live with a minor child or with a person living to have a minor child, it's still a mandated protection report that gets assigned.
Right. What do they do on that report then? What?
So then they'll go out and investigate. What they're looking at is current risk of harm to the minor as a whole. So it depends on what the offense was, how long ago, if they're in treatment. They're looking at risk factors to the minor, which is true for, like, even if we do an assessment, say a predatory offender has a child and assess risk to that child, if they go on to have another child or move in with somebody who has a different child, they get assigned every time. The state does not allow those to be, you know, like if we determine there's not a safety risk to one kid and then another kid's born, they don't allow us to use that information to screen out a second report. Everyone is assigned and looked at for risk to the child.
Right. So I mean, if the probation like does a mandate thing where, you know, to try to get approval or whatever for, say, the offender to move in the house though with a woman and say the woman's child, but it's not his child. I mean, do they have to notify it?
Give permission for that to happen. Once it happens, then corrections would be reporting that. So even if corrections thought it was an okay idea to happen, they still have to report it to child protection, and it would be fine.
All right. So what happens, like, if the child's got, like, the two parents, whatever, they both got joint legal custody, do they have to notify the other parent on that, or?
So both parents who have custody have a right to know that there's a child protection investigation, yes.
They would have to notify them, correct?
They should be notified if they have contact information, yeah.
Okay. What are the procedures, like, if they don't reach out to the other party, or?
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. Are you?
Well, like if they don't reach out to the other parent that has like joint legal custody or whatever, and they just wind up like approving it anyways. I mean, how does that work?
So if you're calling because you're a parent and something was investigated on your kid, you could provide your information and we would look to see who was assigned. You could have a conversation with them about it. Right. Not every parent provides contact information for the other parent, you know, so if we can't find the information and it's not provided, then the only way to get it is for somebody calling in.
All right, but if they did have the information though, because I already went through all that, And I just want to know what the steps and the procedure was on it all, because, I mean, I wasn't 100% sure. So,
So are you calling because you're the other parent?
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So if there was a child protection case on your child, do you know if it's still open, or is it something that's been closed? Or don't you know?
Well, my daughter's 19 now, but my daughter was living with a sex offender since 2008, and still till today, but I was never contacted, informed, or told about it at all, ever. And they always had my information. They had a copy of my parent recognition that I signed in the hospital when my daughter was born. They had my contact info. They knew who I was. They were 100% aware of everything. And never, ever was I ever informed, told about it, or nothing whatsoever.
And you had established legal custody in court for your child?
I was paying child support.
Right, but had you gone to family court and established any legal rights?
Yep, we had joint legal rights. Yep.
In family court?
Yep.
Note that not just sign in the...
Nope, in family. It was all in Dakota County, all family court. I had been through it. Yep. I always had, I was legally, I had joint legal custody of my child. And all this was out of Dakota County. Like, the person lives in Dakota County, like, everything's been in Dakota County.
Yeah, I can't answer that question for you. I only do the intakes for child protection, so if you needed to speak with a supervisor or with somebody else, you're welcome to do that, but I can't help you with your question.
Who's a supervisor?
Lauren Stickens is the supervisor for the investigation unit.
Okay. Yeah, could I talk to him, or?
I can give you his phone number if you'd like.
Okay. And what's that?
It's 952-891-7421.
Okay. All right. And what was his name again?
Lawrence.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Bye.
Have a nice day.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Not that I didn't know 100% how the steps and the procedure goes. I did know. I was aware. I knew all along. But this just shows clearly just more straight proof, fact, undeniable, no questions asked, documented straight recorded conversation with Dakota County Child Protection Service woman that I spoke with clearly on the phone and documented, recorded it. No miscommunication, no he said, she said BS. Now what? Now what? How much more do you need to do, and how much more do you need to prove? Every single thing that they tried to come up with and say, I've shown straight physical fact, debunked it all, proved it, down the line, every single thing, to the point where they say, oh, we ain't going to take no calls from you, and everything's got to be done in writing, and you need to do your fucking job. You need to fucking do your job. If you fucking would have done your job right, by the steps that you're supposed to be doing them, the way you're hired and trained to do them, but intentionally you did not. You self-centered piece of shit. You thought only about yourself, didn't care, and think you can do whatever the fuck you want, like rules and laws don't pertain to you guys? How the fuck is anything in the world going to be anything perfect or anything type of, any type of normal of a kind of life? If there's rules and laws that are set forth, why should we have to follow them and abide by them when you court people do not? It's there for a reason, for justice, to put balance in the world or some shit. And look what this is festered into. Look at what the fuck this is festered into. I told you, I will not let it go. Absolutely. You can pull the threats, the intimidation, the whatever the bullshit you gotta fucking do, but absolutely 100% I will not let this go. And if I gotta fester it into more and more, absolutely I will. Abso-fucking-lutely. Any fucking parent that finds out some shit like this about their kid, and they have to deal with county workers that didn't do their job, and then when I call them out on it, what do? It's fucking sickening. It's sad. It's fucking pathetic. And I'm glad I fucking recorded and documented every one of my conversations with these pieces of shit. Because there's no undeniable fucking question about it. This is straight fact. Proof in their own words. Not written on paper. He said you can write whatever you want on a piece of paper. But this is straight conversation fact. Right here. Been living in the same household as Kayla for the past 10 years. Past 10 years. Let's go all the way back to 2008 then, when Chrissy and Jeff and Kayla were living in the same house. Jeffrey Watney tried to file this motion in 2008. The defendant's sentence and conditions of probation amend to allow unsupervised contact with his juvenile son and the juvenile daughter of his girlfriend, which is my daughter. I don't know why Jeff isn't trying to get any type of unsupervised visitation with his own daughter, but he's trying to get permission to have it with my daughter. A convicted child molester can go and file fucking papers in court and try and receive unsupervised visitation with your fucking child, and you're not aware of it, informed about it, and trying to legally fucking be able to go around someone else's minor child and get it accepted by law? What the fuck is wrong? What did the judge order on it? Judge Mary J. Threeson. This is the one that used to be Assistant Attorney General. And right after that, Joe Watney became Assistant Attorney General. This is how someone can go and be investigated on a crime in like 2002, almost a year later actually get charged for it. Have his first court appearance and set and released from jail is the same day. So it's almost like going to court, being arrested, booked in, and released that same day for molesting his own child. Tried to modify it so he could be around my kid, but he wasn't even concerned about trying to be around his own daughter. How the fuck is he going to try and get it to be approved for him to be around someone else's daughter when he's not even questioning about trying to be around his own? What does that tell you? The judge ordered right there. Motion to lift, no contact, is not granted. You see the date on that? Like 4 months later, they wind up buying a house and moving in together, and all three of them living together. My ex, Jeff, and my minor child. 4 months after this judge orders this, when he tried to modify it. 4 months later, they go and buy a house, and they all live in the same house. You just read the thing from Paula Pletsch. Jeff has been living in the same house as Kayla for the past 10 years. Clearly, straight fact. Again, none of this is to intimidate, threaten, harass, humiliate anyone. This is me documenting, showing straight physical fact fucking proof. Unfucking deniable on what has been going on. The fucking corrupt bullshit that anyone has to deal with, like a parent, like go through some bullshit like this. Fucking unbelievable. Unfucking believable.